I swore to uphold the tenets of the Creed. To never compromise the Assassin Brotherhood. To stay my blade from the flesh of the innocent. I was a damned fool.
Do you swear to uphold the principles of our order, and all that for which we stand, and to do so from now until death, whatever the cost?
I do.
You are now a Templar.
I had such hopes for you, Shay.
You will die as a traitor! Who are you to decide what city falls next?
Right or wrong, Shay, you betrayed the Brotherhood, Achilles and me.
I will not let you destroy everything we have built!
This mad grab for power, it ends now.
And we're back! Once again, I'm one of your community developers, Gabe Graziani, on Assassin's Creed, well, Rogue right now.
Yes.
This is the Rogue portion of our day. So what we want to do right now is welcome 3 of our Rogue developers onto this couch right here, okay?
Yes.
So let's go ahead and bring them on out. Come on, guys. Come on. Come on.
Hello.
Come on.
Welcome.
So glad you guys could
Sit
join us
right
today.
next to me.
Look at you all
Hi
dressed
there.
up. Oh my gosh.
Fancy.
So fancy. Oh my gosh.
Like a rock star.
Very, very
Like
nice.
a rock star.
Very, very nice. Okay. Cool. So I guess what we should probably do is go ahead and have you each introduce yourselves.
Why
and
don't
tell
you
us what
introduce
did.
us? You know us.
Well, I will do the honors.
Thank you,
Alrighty.
Andy. I like that.
This here is Richard Faris. We've had him on a podcast before, so those of you who've listened will know. But you are lead writer on Assassin's Creed Rogue.
Yes.
You're also writer for the brand.
Yes.
You are a very important man.
That's what they tell me.
He also plays in some YouTube bands.
Yeah.
I know we have Susie Patrick.
Hello.
One of the writers on Assassin's Creed Rogue as well.
Yes.
You were formerly a writer on Initiates.
Yes, I was.
And we have James Nadiger, also a writer on Assassin's Creed Rogue, and formerly on Initiates.
Yep.
It's like a party. Thank you all for joining us.
Sorry,
and
it's really hot in
congratulations
here.
on the launch.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
We're really excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a big day.
You guys are doing really well. And Metacritic, I don't know if you've taken a look.
No, we never look at the
Several
the
dozen
reviews. We never do
refreshes.
that.
Cool. So we've invited you here today because we want to talk about Rogue. This is an exciting day for us. It's a celebration for the entire, team. This is the first time we've ever launched 2 games on a single day. It's the first time we've really had 2 games in 1 year. But we figured we'd just do them both on the same day because why not, right? So I
Let me
think
remind you, we had Liberation a couple of years ago, but it was for the Vita, so it wasn't like.
did.
We've had 2 like a portable game and a console game before.
Yeah.
Sure. This is the first like 2 console
Exactly.
extravaganza.
Exactly. Extravaganza, I like that.
So slowly building up. It's baby steps.
Yes.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
But I mean, fans, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to speak for all of our fans, but the ones I've interacted with love it. They want more Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, that's definitely
So
true.
we thought we'd give you more Assassin's Creed on the same damn day.
Yeah, and especially in the case of what we have in Rogue, right? Because Rogue features, and we don't want to spoil anything necessarily, but Rogue does feature some returning characters, right?
Oh,
Like, can we
yes.
talk a little bit about that? Maybe?
There is everyone's favorite Templar so far, Hatham.
Ah, yes.
So far.
Yes, so far.
This is the part where Tumblr you'll want to tune in. This is very relevant to your interest.
The sound of ovaries exploding can be heard all night.
Of course, our legitimate community members who we invited here today are actually laughing right now as well.
So yes,
Cool.
we have Hatham.
Yes, we do.
And we're in general we're returning to a sort of like a location in the world that we have been before. One of the things that I think is interesting about Rogue is that it feels like a very accomplished blend between AC3 and AC4, right? Like so, it draws on the best things that that both of those games offer, right? But still bringing something new with the Templar gameplay.
Of course.
True.
So what we're going to go ahead and do is see if we can get some gameplay going on the screen.
Oh, great.
But I wonder if you guys want to set us up with, because earlier we had Darby on to tell us where we were in the present day storyline, more or less, right? So I wonder if one of you could tell us where that leaves us with Rogue. Can you give us like what happens immediately before? What are you doing? Why are we, how do we even come into contact with Shay Patrick Cormac?
So you're talking about the present day story right now. I think I'll let James answer that.
Yeah, okay. So the present day in Rogue is playable. We go back to Abstergo Entertainment studios, and you play that kind of, it's not you, like the you from Unity, but it's that in-between you where you're yourself playing a role. So you're another Abstergo genetic memory researcher, and you've stumbled across these memories of Shay Patrick Cormac, but shortly after accessing them for the first time, you get ripped out of the Animus because those memories were booby-trapped with like a crazy computer virus that messes up the whole building. So part of your journey in the present day is fixing that mess that you kind of caused. But then some outside security contractors develop an interest in Shay's story and sort of encourage you.
Yeah, exactly.
Strongly encourage you.
That's one way of putting it.
So
Demand give you the order to.
I would like to interject and at this point ask if we can maybe mention one, because so the security contractor, one of them is going to be familiar to a section of fans who've been with us for a while.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, because it's launch day, maybe we can maybe just drop his name. We don't have to say anything about him. So her name?
Sure.
Just drop it out there.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
All right.
It's launch day live stream. Let's do it.
One of the contractors' name is Otso Berg, who we've seen before in the brand, in the lore. But maybe I'll just say that who he is and his deeper motivations will be something that you reveal as you go along. So if you're a hardcore fan of the brand, then maybe that mystery is solved. You know what he's about. But if you're new or newer to the brand, it'll be like another avenue to sort of explore the big universe of Assassin's Creed.
So what we're talking about basically is storylines that come from initiates, right? Like we had a variety of plots in initiates. Well, actually, really just one plot, right? The real present day plot, where we introduced a variety of different characters. Some of them are going to appear in Rogue. But I think it's important for people to realize that content still exists, and that if you have a curiosity about the characters who are in Rogue, particularly the present day characters who are in Rogue, you're very much advised to pick up on that initiate's content. You can do so in the AC Wikia. It's all collected there, so you can still access it. We owe a huge amount of thanks to the folks that run AC Wikia for collecting and being such good curators of our content.
Yes, they are awesome.
Yeah, so like we've talked with writers on the brand before about the amount of consultation that we tend to do. I think you guys could agree, right?
Oh, for sure.
you whenever you're going to write about Assassin's Creed has such a deep, rich narrative universe that you guys can speak to this. How do you feel when you approach the Assassin's Creed universe?
Oh, it's a tremendous responsibility, but it's also a tremendous amount of fun to be able to build on what's already been created. I mean, in this game, we're exploring the Kenway saga, for example.
Yes.
We're placing ourselves between Edward and we have Haytham. We're setting up things for Connor. It's very interesting to be able to fill in the missing pieces in the story.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'm sure we are actually going to get some questions in the chat very soon regarding well, you just mentioned Connor. So I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of people that are asking, is Connor in this game? Is Connor in Unity? And I know that because we have already gotten so many of those questions already. And I don't think that we have actually answered them yet.
Can we answer it? That's the...
Well...
Desmond is still dead.
Yeah, let's make that very clear.
Very clear.
Like,
Sorry.
Let's make that very clear. Repeat it. Just
If I keep saying it, maybe they'll start to believe it. But, I'm sorry to be that guy.
But he lives on in subject 17. Right?
Yes, in the
sample 17.
Sample 17.
We still have access to his genetic material. It's just that he's no longer with us, right? He died in 2012.
Now when you replay an old AC game, you can pretend that you're like you at home playing Desmond's memories, playing Ezio's memories, and then Revelation's playing Altair's memories, and it just goes
I feel like
deeper and deeper.
If you do that at this point, like if you play Revelations and replay Altair's memories, so you're playing these different characters, all like the game shouldn't load. It should just be an Inception horn. It's like, you go to like load it up and goes, wow.
We have to go deeper. We can't.
We can't, exactly.
So we have gameplay running right now, which is, we just picked it up from the very beginning of the game.
Okay.
Right.
Can you guys explain to us a little bit about who Shay Patrick Cormac is?
Yeah, Shay, well, Shay, when you start the game, Shay is a young assassin. Can I mention some of the characters we have in the game? Because
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, very early on in the game, you realize that your mentor is Achilles, who we know already from AC3.
Yeah.
He was Connor's mentor. But this is years earlier. So in AC3, when you start playing, and when you meet Achilles, he's an old man. He doesn't want to have to do anything. He doesn't want to train Connor as an assassin. Like, he's done with the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
When you start the game, you basically work for Achilles. The assassins are very strong in North America, probably stronger than the Templars. Ethan has not arrived in America yet.
Yeah.
So you're part of this Brotherhood until something goes terribly wrong, and you start questioning well, basically the creed, yes.
Question the creed,
and that's
right?
Question the creed, and that's some, yeah.
I think it is on the website.
It probably is actually.
Visit Question the Creed.
So,
Should we talk about these fellows?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. While we're introducing
because we're introducing a lot of new characters, basically assassins that were there prior to AC3. So, go ahead.
Oh, well, you've got Liam there. We can't see.
There he is.
Yeah,
There he is.
There he is.
Liam, Shay Patrick Cormac's best friend, an old friend of his. The more unpleasant fellow you saw earlier, Louis-Joseph Gauthier, Chevalier de la Vérendrye.
Whoa. Can you say that again?
Say it 3 times. Yeah.
Or as we call him, Chevalier.
All right, Chevalier.
Chevalier.
We wanted to show how this story stretches all over North America. So he is actually a French-Canadian.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
He's a historical figure, actually. He's a French-Canadian explorer.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting because I did not pick that up in the time that I had spent with Rogue necessarily. I think for me, as originally I was an American, I still have trouble. And don't tell anyone this. So,
We won't let anyone know.
I still have trouble discerning at times the French from the Quebecois accent.
Okay.
Right? So it's still.
How long have you worked in Montreal, guys?
I worked here for, it's going to be 6 years in March.
Bravo.
Merci beaucoup. Alors, so yeah, so we see Liam here. Well, not currently, but
Yeah, we Commissaire Liam, de la Vérandrie, Chevalier, I should say, Hope, and Kesegawase.
Right. Okay.
So these are the four assassins working with you for Achilles, basically.
Okay. And it's intriguing because we've already released a few story trailers to give people an idea. Like, the younger Achilles is, he's considerably more... I feel like he's more active. He's definitely engaged with the Brotherhood. And what's intriguing to me about this part of the story is that, as you mentioned earlier, the assassins are quite powerful in the new world, right? Like, they have arrived early and they have gotten themselves a foothold, and it's kind of the opposite of what we're used to. In traditional Assassin's Creed games, we play where the assassins are on the ropes, right? They're trying to fight back from a position where the Templars, the way that they work,
they're already in control.
Exactly. And control is exactly it with them, right?
Yes.
They control. They want everything ordered and things like that. So, can you tell us a little bit about that dynamic, in terms of where the assassins are, because I think we have a good idea of where we're at in AC3. We have a good idea where we're at in AC4, but this game coming in the middle, can you shed a little bit of light on kind of Achilles' history to a degree without getting into any spoilers?
Without spoiling things, this is a tough one. As I mentioned earlier, Achilles is very much in control in the colonies. He has several assassins working with him. His network, his spy network, is well established. Early in the game, you realize that the assassins are also controlling New York, which is something usually, again, like the Templars usually control districts in other games. So it's really when Atham arrives and sort of puts his crew together, because the Templars are already in North America. There are Templars there, but it's really when you start playing AC3. Actually, when you play Atham, it's really at that moment in 1754, that he puts his crew together. He brings everyone together and say, "Listen, we have to work together." So, and from that moment on, the story of AC3 unfolds, and you go through the revolution. What we did here is we sort of bridged the gap between AC4 and AC3. So when our game ends, it's clear, we sort of set the table for AC3 by the end of our game.
Right.
I don't want to reveal too much of the events that will unfold, because
do not reveal any of the end of the game.
Well, not just the end of the game, but there's a couple of turning points in the story. Of course, you know that Shay will sort of turn and join the Templars. We all know that, but it's how and why, and basically what motivates him to do so. That's interesting.
It must be so frustrating too.
to not be able to say anything, you mean?
Well, because that's a question that we get very frequently is, wait, but why would anyone do this, right? And it's funny,
if we've done our job properly, I think that you're going to understand more subtleties about the Templars, and to see that it's not just black and white, it's not just good and evil. Yeah. But both sides have their reasons for believing as they do and acting as they do.
It's all about shades of gray, and I think in Unity they do that pretty well as well. When you play through Arnold's story, you sort of question what the assassins are doing, not just the Templars. So I think with the brand, we're at that point where it's interesting.
I think since AC3, we've done a better job showing both sides of this conflict.
Exactly.
AC3 started with Hatham and Connor, and Edward met both assassins and Templars in Black Flag.
Yes.
And even Evelyn's story, there was
two
sides of that, right? So we're trying to show more and more that both the assassins and Templars want the same thing. They just really disagree with how to go about it.
They disagree with knives and swords.
Yeah, it's a war.
We actually have a question from the live stream chat. It's from. Oh wait, I can't quite see it. There we go.
who he was, but I know the artist from Sofia who designed the outfit. I'm not sure. You know what? We'd have to ask him. And I know that there's some people here in Montreal who also worked on Shay's design, because he's the protagonist and important. So I know a lot of work was, put in for that armor.
Yeah, during PAX, we were discussing it with Ivan, the producer, Sophia, and he actually had told us that because originally the question that we would get was, is it the same armor? Right? Because that's like a very is there some connection between Shay and Edward where Shay got this armor from him or something like that? But what he was telling us was that the Templars share a similar aesthetic. Right? Just like the assassins have their hood, the Templars are all very similar in terms of the way that the type of style that they favor. And yeah, exactly. Well, it's funny too though, because if we look right behind you guys, we have Elise, who is the Templar from Assassin's Creed Unity. You can tell by the cross that she wears.
She's a great character as well.
Exactly.
She's amazing. Yeah.
And her outfit and her aesthetic is actually quite similar to Shay's, although she doesn't live in quite as cold a climate, I don't think.
If you think of Madeleine in Liberation as well, she had this type of outfit as well. So they do prefer a particular style.
And Shay has many different outfits that you can find throughout the game.
True.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
We did speak to Mohamed Gambouz, who was the art director. He's long time Ubisoft Montreal, but he's art director on Unity. And he did say something which was really interesting, which is something a lot of fans might miss, and it's that when they're doing the character designs for both Assassins and Templars, Assassins generally tend to be all about triangles.
Yes.
Right? And there's a lot of triangular in their design, whereas Templars square, and not square in like a bad way, but in that like it's always very rigid, all about order. Hence why the Templar armor in Rafag looks similar to Shay's one, because it's always very I'm about this and that.
And the assassins are way more fluid, right?
Yeah.
Like it's all about
that eagle motif from the beginning.
Yes.
Right? They're more like angular.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if we had to associate an animal with Templars, what would that animal be?
Ooh.
If you were a tree,
I would say
what kind of tree would you be?
I would say the wolf.
Yeah.
You work in packs, I would say wolf.
I think that's analogous. I think that works. Wolves. It does sort of paint them as bloodthirsty,
sort of,
ruthless
but
murderers.
Eagles are bloodthirsty too,
And they look out for each other in their pack.
So actually, do we have gameplay on the screen right now? Yes. Because we're now in the present day.
Yes.
Which is a very important part for Rogue. And actually, I quite like these puzzles.
You're pretty good at this. I'm surprised.
Yeah, Andy is an excellent driver. I don't know why I played Andy. It's funny too because we were just playing multiplayer with our community members, Loomer and Colpreet, in Assassin's Creed Unity, and Andy was very good. I'll say that. Andy was quite good, and pulled my fat out of the fry on a couple of occasions. So there you go. Oh, can we get audio on this? Or not. But this is an intriguing part of the present day story because what we have here are these unlockable little. Why don't you explain it for us?
Yeah, James.
Okay, so because all building functions and access to Helix was disrupted by this virus, while you're trying to fix it, you sort of get access to files that maybe you, as like a civilian, weren't meant to see, but it's part of that idea of as Shay sort of comes to see this new way of thinking about life, you, the player, will also sort of be introduced to this conspiracy, just under the skin of the world, and the unlockable collectibles in the present day are a nice shout out to our legacy games, I guess, but also sort of a quick primer on how the Templars saw all these events that we've only ever seen from this one very specific point of view.
Cool. Okay. I mean, I think we kind of introduced that a little bit in AC4, right? Like the idea that there's these little hints and things. But what's intriguing to me about the direction, since we introduced the new sort of present day in AC4, is all of this information comes from Abstergo. So it's very heavily biased, right? Like, what we've seen up until now has traditionally been biased towards the assassins. What I think is funny, though, is that now we're seeing a very different bias, right?
Yeah. Well, we had that, I think, also like in Revelations when we had the Templar secrets. We had like secret files for the multiplayer. Like so it's all. I think it's been there for a while. It's just now it's really at the forefront, I think.
Yeah, definitely. You're not gonna have an easy time with this one.
No.
I know because I did this one the other day, and it's one of the ones that has like the splitters and stuff.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
What?
You mean the one he just
I'll be
Yeah,
here all week.
that was
ladies and gents.
that was really hard. Yeah.
Oh my god. Earlier today, before we were practicing for the live stream,
Funny man.
I kid you not. Andy took the controller from me, and he said the worst thing you could say to another game player. He said, "Do you want me to get you past that part?"
Oh dear.
It was horrible. It was truly profoundly awful.
Do you even play video games?
I do. I play all the time.
You play with me, as a matter of fact.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And we have plans to play some co-op.
After watching you guys play today, like I'm ridiculously excited to get into it.
He wants Andy on his team as well.
Yes,
It's
that's-
true.
Yeah,
Right.
because otherwise I can't do it. Oh.
Right. So it's good that you mentioned sort of like the Abstergo sort of like process with regards to being an employee there and stuff, because it ties nicely into something you worked on a little bit, which is the Abstergo employee handbook over there. Could you raise that up and show that to the camera? So again, we mentioned earlier in the stream that has a lot of spoilers in it. So as with Unity, you probably want to play Rogue first before you start delving into that. But it also has a lot of juicy secrets with regards to present day activity for both games from an Abstergo standpoint. So if you're really itching to know about that sort of thing, then the Abstergo Employee Handbook is for you. It's also a beautiful book. It is very beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And yeah, you had
I
a.
want one.
Wait, you worked on it.
I know.
I think
That's the thing with about Assassin's Creed present day now, I think in general, is that even though we've moved away from like these character-based sagas, like we're done with that third-person Desmond thing, the present day still is very much a part of it, and it just means that we're still gonna meet characters. There's still stuff happening in the present day. They're just gonna be a little more isolated, and it's just gonna be like another tool that we can use for some of the transmedia stuff. Like, so while Unity is more about the past than the present, like we've changed that focus. Like this book is almost 100% present day, but still has a very strong connection. Like the present is what lets us give context to why these ancestor stories, I guess they're not ancestors anymore, but why the past is important, and helps us connect the dots for some Easter eggs or how things, tie in together. So
we was talking about when we had him on at the very beginning of the show. That was like 5.5 hours ago.
yeah, and Darby and I talked a lot about what we were doing with our present day. So they take place at the same time, but they won't connect. It's not like part 1 and part 2, but if you get a bunch of the collectibles from Darby's present day and the present day on Rogue, you'll see little nods to things that are happening more or less at the same time. So it's
Yeah, we actually got that question earlier, where people are asking. We've gotten it a lot of times. Is which do you play first? Do you play Unity or Rogue? And what's intriguing to us is it's very easy for us to go ahead and like refer to the past portion of the game that you play, right? So in that case, we can very easily say that Rogue chronologically takes place before Unity. So you could play that first and then play Unity. But it's not necessarily, the games are not built for one to follow the other necessarily. That's one of the things I think is so interesting about what you guys have done, is you've created 2 games that can be played interchangeably. whichever one you want to play first is the one that you can play first. It doesn't, and I don't understand how you've gotten cool Easter eggs in for either direction. Like that's what's incredible for me, right?
So we actually a couple of things have happened. The gameplay on the screen at the moment has introduced another returning character, an assassin, a favorite of mine, my dear Adewale. But we've also been informed that the really big giveaway that we've been running all day for the Origin PC, we have a winner. So do you wanna?
Yes, I would. Yes, drum roll, please. The winner of the Origin PC, this is a crazy beast machine, is Adam Hawk. Congratulations, Adam Hawk.
Awesome.
I'm very jealous because that PC is insane.
It's true, and you can look forward to playing Rogue on it in the future. we have announced that Rogue will be coming to PC. It's super exciting, I think, for a lot of people because it's funny because we actually have had a lot of people who are just like, wait, why? I want to have Rogue for PC. I want to have Rogue for PC. I want to have it for next gen consoles. All these things. It's intriguing that we have so many people requesting it. And I think a part of that is because we have so many fans who are very much embroiled in the universe. They need to know every single piece about it. And that's what's pretty intriguing. Like, is that something that goes through your mind, Richard, when you're like, yeah?
When you design a story, just even in the earlier stages, you always have to go through the material. I mean, you have to become an expert in what's been done. You have to know the lore almost by heart. You have to go on the wiki sometimes to look at some of the facts.
Play the games, read the novel.
Exactly. And of course, I mean, we're really grateful to have these fans because they're just amazing. They're just waiting for us to tell them more stories about, set in our universe, and that's awesome.
For me, I think what's really great about our fans as well is that the vast majority of them do their best to keep us honest, right? And it's like, look, okay, I see what you want to do, but this is yes, exactly.
That's impossible to do. That's impossible to. So we have to, I guess, design in a really smart way and always make sure that we didn't forget anything, because they're going to remind us that we did.
The trick is to try to surprise them too. Like they ask for a lot of things, they want a lot of things, but if we just gave them what they wanted, I don't know that would make them happy. Like if you've ever watched like a trailer for a movie and it looks amazing, but when you watch it, it's literally just the trailer but longer, you feel kind of disappointed. You have to give them what they didn't know they needed.
Yeah.
And that's tricky because they're very smart and they're like, you know what I mean?
Also, I think. Yes, they're always guessing.
We hope that the game is surprising.
Conspiracy theories, and so we've just engineered a fan base of people who think about every possible permutation.
But I think for Rogue, we gave them something that they wanted, because a lot of fans were asking about a Templar game, and this is basically what Rogue is about. So.
Yeah, this is an interesting year of really fan service, right? It's like because we are delivering co-op for the first time in an Assassin's Creed game with Unity, which is something people have been asking for since Brotherhood, and now we're delivering a Templar game as well at the same time. So it's really exciting for me. I think I've actually played further through Rogue than I have through Unity. It's amazing. It's really good. If we could just talk for a second about the gameplay a little bit, that's what's really exciting to me about it too, is because we're playing as Templars. Hey, that's actually not such a bad segue. Because we're playing as Templars, it's kind of an inversion to what people are used to doing in Assassin's Creed games. Do you guys have any examples? Because if you don't, I have some. But
you're playing as a Templar, I mean, one of the first things you'll notice is that assassins are your enemies. So suddenly you're looking at every haystack and you're looking off every rooftop because you know they're out to get you.
Pretty much, yeah.
So true. But you have tools to help you do that too, right? Like that was one of the things I think that was the most interesting thing to me, is you don't actually have to activate it necessarily. Like you have the Templar vision that is like, well, it's eagle vision, right? Because
eagle vision is the
because Shay, of course, has been an assassin. Right. But what's intriguing to me is he can sense assassins nearby, right? Sure. And the way that plays out on the screen is by that pulsating there's trouble nearby, right? It's almost like a spider sense or something.
It's the multiplayer visuals.
It is. It is exactly that, isn't it?
It reminds me of Highlander. When you can sense another immortal is nearby. Anyway.
My two favorite reversal gameplay things is reverse boarding on the ships. The first time it happened, I thought it was a bug or something. I'm like, what happened? And then I'm like, I'm getting boarded. This is crazy. And then it was just panic. I was okay though. And then also the reverse assassinations where in the old games, assassins send out a pigeon this guy's gotta die. But in Rogue, you see a pigeon, you catch it, and then I'm like, okay, this guy's a target, and then you have to go defend him. I think that's the best. Yeah.
Of all the side missions, this is my favorite too. It's all, they're really well done and it's really interesting.
And of course, also as a Templar, you have access to the best technology. You have the new air rifle.
That's not usually a thing for assassins, is it? They have the hidden blade and their tried and true techniques like smoke bombs and things like that.
Right.
What does the air rifle do? Because it's more than just a blowgun, right? Because Edward has a blowgun, and that works great.
It's silent like the blowgun, but the range is excellent, the damage is excellent, and you've got the capability of
grenade launcher.
Yes, the grenades.
But you also have these sort of firecracker bullets, and basically when you shoot it, it's silent, but it explodes somewhere else. So you can basically distract, bring assassins out of haystacks with that. So it's actually pretty interesting. That's actually a neat trick in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Assassins or Templars. English. Bingo. There we go. So what we're seeing right now on the screen in the gameplay is actually your first introduction to the other assassins that you meet at the beginning of the game. Right? So
they basically train you in different things. Each of them is training you.
Right.
But this is really a tutorial that we're watching right now.
Oh yeah.
Not sure why James is laughing. Because you can't hide in the haystack? Is that what the...
I was trying to get the sprinting one.
I get it now.
And the guy spotted me.
I see.
So from this we can determine that Hope is a master of use of the hidden blade.
Yes, and stealth. And social stealth, I should say. She's...
And what would you say that Kasegawasi's strengths are?
Free roaming. He's the wilderness expert.
Right.
So survival, hunting, crafting, hunting, absolutely. Liam is an expert shot, so he's the one who teaches you how to use the pistol and the rifle.
That's cool. Sounds like they'd make a very good brotherhood.
Sounds like it, yeah. And
they gotta die.
That's why this part of the game is heartbreaking because of course everyone knows that Shay is an assassin hunter, but you play through this early part of it and you meet all these characters knowing full well that Shay is an assassin hunter. So even if he doesn't have to go after them directly, he will at some point break with them in a really, really unfortunate way.
Absolutely.
But you also know how dangerous that situation is going to be and how much of a decision, of a very tough decision that is for Shay to make.
Yeah, definitely. Because he cannot leave he certainly can't leave the Brotherhood without fear of them all coming after him, right? We say assassin hunter, but we know how easily the hunter becomes.
That's the great thing about a prequel, right? Where all of this is going, but you know what I mean? But that means you also know that it can't end any other way, so you just keep going deeper and deeper.
It's funny in scenarios like these. Maybe it's my as I get older, I find that I care less and less about spoilers because I don't feel like it's the actual that one answer. It's the journey that you go on in order to arrive at that answer, right? And a thing that I think is also pretty funny is Assassin's Creed being based on so many different historical events. Wikipedia is full of spoilers. Totally full of spoilers. Although not necessarily in this case, because this game takes place during the 7 Years' War, which, let's go ahead and assume that I was brought up in California and had a not so great, high school U.S. history education. What are the key points with the 7 Years' War?
The first global conflict. It started here in North America in around 54. It was called the French and Indian War, and then it sort of escalated into this global conflict. And at the end of the war, basically, France conceded all its territory to the British and to some extent to Spain, but mostly to the British. And this is how all of North America became English, except for province of Quebec, pretty much.
What was also intriguing at the time is that it began almost as a proxy war, a war between colonies, which spread back to Europe.
Oh, wow, okay.
And that's how it became a global fight, as well as a fight for control of North America. To touch back on the ideas of control that you mentioned earlier.
And we'll pause for a second just because Achilles is on the screen.
And Adewale.
It's the young Achilles and the older Adewale, basically. Yeah.
That's intriguing. Because this is full-on fan service, right? This is full-on fan service. You get the young Achilles.
Well, to be honest, it was a lot of fun for us too to just think about how these people would be, like how we envisioned the younger Achilles, and how he became this sort of broken man in AC3, and all of this journey. We just wanted to explore that, and that's what's really exciting.
It is. No, I remember when Rogue was first announced, and the reception that got. It was kind of half and half, just because like a lot of people had come to associate with the assassins.
Yes.
And they're like, wait, no, I couldn't kill assassins. And it's like as we began to reveal a little bit more and stuff, and there was a major turning point when we did the first devlog with you, Susie, and people started to understand that okay, there's a lot more underneath here, and of course there's hate. So it was something like, I can't kill assassins, but I might consider it if it means we get to see that handsome fella again.
I don't want to kill assassins, but I'll do anything.
Exactly.
So no, I mean, again, got to just say like big congratulations, and it seems to be being received very well, and looking forward to playing more.
What the fans think in the coming days.
The fan reaction so far is wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, it's really exciting, I think, for everybody, and it's huge. The game is enormous.
It's a big game. Yes, it's a big game.
Both games are just packed with all kinds of fun stuff to do. Like they're dense games.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I do want to ask, as we get close to ending, I paused on the Animus database earlier. How much do you guys, as like script writers or main writers, because I know for a lot of the previous games, there's one writer usually dedicated to writing the Animus database. But how much input do you guys have on that sort of thing, or you just specialize on particular parts of the game?
For Rogue, it was a bit
a group effort.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I wrote like a draft of most of it, but because I didn't work on Shay's story as much, like the present day and some other stuff, I had to make sure that it lined up with everything. So.
So I think most you and Susie wrote the first drafts. I think.
Right, James, you put a lot of effort into making that really interesting.
And also because of production time, like we were really tight, and I was actually glad to steal James from Initiates at some point, because Susie had been on board for a while, but Phil was working on the AI, but at some point we just we looked at the dates. Yeah, sorry. we looked at the dates and we were like, we're not gonna make it. Like we need to lock these things. So yeah, and I had worked with James on Initiates, and with Susie as well before. So So I sort of trusted them, you know. Took a chance, you know.
We're glad you did.
Like, outside of gameplay, these are always some of the best bits for me because I mean, like, I'm the sort of person and sort of player first. I like to soak up all of that knowledge because usually there will come a time further down the line I'm like, why do I know when this person died? Oh yeah, that's right, because I spent 5 minutes reading his Adverse database entry. So
Good at Jeopardy and you don't know why.
so yeah, no, it's always great.
But it's interesting too when you work on a database. At some point, like we were wondering like how much can we reveal at this point in the game. We needed to make sure that if a character was important or went through some major changes, we had like 2 different databases for that. I hope it's all working well in the game.
It looks like it because you have, for instance, and they're born there. That do not know.
Yeah, unknown. That's very nice. Yes, makes sense.
Spoiler to say that throughout the game, if you revisit the database, you may discover new facts.
Yeah.
You discover new entries by Sean. He leaves little quips. So yeah.
Well, unfortunately, actually, we are at the end of our live streaming day.
Yeah,
Time has flown by.
It's been fun though.
A little bit.
I've been watching pretty much the whole thing. You guys are amazing.
Wow,
Thank you very much.
No,
thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Yeah. Aren't you supposed to be working? What's going on?
Your boss is here.
I am working.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah, definitely thank you all for joining us. So much fun. And thank you all for joining us as well. I hope this has been fun for you guys. I hope you guys got all these crazy gifts that we had. I do want to mention one thing. That is, again, if you encounter issues with any of our games, please go to support.ub.com and file a ticket because it's the primary way that we figure out how to solve problems. We have patches coming out in the weeks ahead, and we want to make sure that we make these games as flawlessly perfect for you to play. Please don't hesitate to go there and tell us if you have any sort of issue whatsoever. Support.ub.com, file a ticket for us. It's how we make the games better.
It is true. And a final reminder, as we mentioned earlier in the stream, we as a community team are going to be streaming a lot in the coming days and weeks.
That is a fact, yes.
So be sure to check out the website and our social media links as you will be getting updates on what we're going to be doing on the regular. And it's also good because it means some of the stuff that we weren't able to give away on this particular stream, you'll have a chance to win on some of our streams.
Yeah.
There is more stuff.
There's more stuff. There's action figures.
Yes.
All right. To our fans.
Thank you very much, everyone. We gotta go because Andy's voice is just shredded.
It's just gone now.
we gotta get him to some hot tea immediately. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have fun.
I swore to uphold the tenets of the Creed. To never compromise the Assassin Brotherhood. To stay my blade from the flesh of the innocent. I was a damned fool.
Do you swear to uphold the principles of our order, and all that for which we stand, and to do so from now until death, whatever the cost?
I do.
You are now a Templar.
I had such hopes for you, Shay.
You will die as a traitor! Who are you to decide what city falls next?
Right or wrong, Shay, you betrayed the Brotherhood, Achilles, and me.
I will not let you destroy everything we have built!
This mad grab for power, it ends now.